You guys are good.
Awesome. So, what we are doing at the moment is wrapping up our intro, Horde of the Dragon Queen, and preparing for the switch over to the Rise of Tiamat. And so far, the adventurers have made their way all the way from the southernmost areas of the Sword Coast, down there in Greenest, to the northernmost areas, way up here near Mirabar. On the way, they've acquired a significant amount of treasure and crashed a giant castle. That giant castle was a sky castle made of ice and snow, and that is now melting all over the place in the mountains of the spine of the world. The party has had an opportunity to gather a significant amount of loot, divvying that out and hiding it amongst themselves as best they could in the time between the crash and the arrival of the guards and others from Mirabar. There's been some conversation bouncing back and forth once Valandra notified some of the folks in the factions. Sendings started coming in to many of the party members, asking them individually what's going on, what can happen, and giving them some information on who will be shortly showing up. It sounds like the big guns are being pulled in to try and sort out and recover. So, we are a little short staffed this evening. We've got Telaise and we've got Valandra, and they're two of the big motivators for what's going to be happening next, as far as where they're heading in the world, what they want to do with their wealth, and how that goes. So, it's going to be kind of a casual night. Just run through some things that happened, any questions that came up, and then start kind of outlining where they might be looking to go over the next couple of sessions. Because I have a few ideas, and one of those is a module I'm very fond of. But there's also another couple of places we could go and investigate based on what they want to do. Valandra and Telaise, first quick questions. Anything mechanically, mathematically about the loot pile and stuff that you had questions about? Did we manage to get it sorted to the point where you kind of know what's going on there?
Mostly, yeah. There's still like a couple items that technically no one has claimed, but
Okay.
for like 90%, we've
Sure.
divvied it up.
And we'll get that all sorted out as we get more people available to chime in on that sort of stuff. You guys did end up with a significant amount of gems and jewelry and gold and platinum and mithril and good stuff that was distributed evenly as best as possible. Then about 500 pounds of it was shoved into a bag of holding, and you were still left with tens of thousands of copper and silver coins and gold and other little bits scattered about in them, in that big snowball that the authorities will be coming across soon. For yourselves, are there any activities before they get there that you'd like to undertake?
You'd already said that if I cast Detect Creature Vampire, I wouldn't detect anything, right?
Correct. The vampire has made good on its escape.
Okay.
Apparently, it had several options for getting out of there, not just its coffin.
I mean, I don't think I had much more immediately besides waiting for people, other than deciding whether we were going to be like what we were doing with the treasure. As I recall, the options were take what we think we can
Mm-hmm.
Successfully take a little more and risk being detected and losing everything, or take a little less and be perceived as much more honest and more likely or less likely to be discovered that we've already taken some stuff.
You got it. So at this point, what you got in your belt pouches and in that bag of holding is what you could probably walk away with, and everybody would be like, they're adventurers. Adventurers kind of take loot. Uh, if you made a show of, hey, here's all the loot we found, and you show them the finest things, they'll be like, oh, they're adventurers. They didn't take all the loot, but they're still probably going to ask for some of it. If you were to try and just fill your backpacks full of the last kind of stuff you can stuff in there and chink your way out of there like shishing, 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 they're probably going to be like, slow down a moment there, buddy. Let's check that backpack. You got a receipt for that? So,
And the appropriate response to that is, do you?
you know,
Not
when
your
you're the
receipt.
king, when you're the king of the country, you can write receipts. But so that's kind of where we were at. Is what level of greed is being scattered about there?
I believe we all went with the smart decision to not overload ourselves.
I believe that's what I heard from most people. I will get a definitive answer from Waverly individually at some point, just because I feel we need to double check with Waverly. But it sounds like the smart play is the way to go, kind of right down the middle. People are like, yeah, I don't remember you having one of those, but you did just sort of crash a castle, so I'm not going to really bring it up.
No, they can not remember all they want. They haven't seen us for months.
I mean,
I'm just saying, if someone looked at Telaise, I don't remember you having that, and she would look back at them and like, well, I don't remember you having that, so what are we gonna do here? It's been a while.
That's a good point. So at this point, we will consider that the party has successfully gained the treasures that they have associated with them. You have your belt pouches full of the most portable of that, and we converted that all to gold for convenience of math. So that kind of gives us the loot that you have. Telaise is at the moment carrying the bag of holding, which holds 500 pounds of more loot. So if something should happen to Telaise, there might be a run on the banks. But nothing's going to happen just yet.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen to Telaise and her backpack or her side pack, whatever. You could stop. I can hear you plotting. I can hear it.
Who would take a backpack from a player? What demon would do that sort of thing?
I think its name is Casey.
It could be. So where that kind of brings us to is the guards from Mirabar have made their way up to the area. They've kind of staked out to make sure no orcs or goblins or that sort of thing come raiding from the hills. They light the place up with torches and bonfires. And then a little while later, the delegations begin to arrive. First, the representatives of the council from Mirabar show up, survey the area. There's some discussion about whether gold and jewels and silver having fallen from the sky into the dirt counts as wealth mined from the dirt, in which case, of course, it would be theirs because they have the mineral rights to the area. Shortly thereafter, other delegations arrive and call them idiots and can't believe they would even attempt to pass that off. And it's kind of that just gathering political scene as the minor functionaries try to show off. A little while later, after a few magic bursts in the distance, the real authorities start to show up. The Yosin, Onthar, and folks that you've only heard about semi as legends, kings, heroes, high-level druids. Folks that you're like, yeah, we should probably not get in a fight with them right now. Leosin kind of pulls you aside and says, look, there's going to be a lot of discussion, and hopefully you've come to no harm. I can't thank you enough for what you've done. You've certainly pointed us in the right direction and recovered all this treasure that will go to help the people and Omthar, the businesses. No, that's going to be used to sponsor the army. No, we're going to help them sponsor. No, and so let's fight there. All right. Anyway, shortly we're going to need to gather, and Mirabar, fine city that it is not central enough for this. We'd like to invite you all to join us in Waterdeep. We're going to have a council. It seems the cultists are not as small a threat as we hoped. This effort that they're making, the treasure that they're gathering, it seems to be in earnest. They are making an attempt to bring Tiamat back into this world. And now that we know they have access to the magics of the Red Wizards of Thay, it's become a possibility worth considering. It'll take some time for the council to get together, and I was hoping you might be available for some other concerns that we have. And he sort of looks over the two at you to see, would you be willing to entertain some of the concerns that they might have?
Telaise kind of looks at Valandra because they both have their own kind of pressing agenda, I believe.
Sure.
What like she's not really sure, but she'll say, like, what concerns do you have? Like, tell us more.
Well, unlikely as it might be, should the Red Wizards succeed, or even draw something, if not Tiamat, some other beasts from the Nine Hells, we'll need weapons stronger than those we normally arm ourselves with, weapons of considerable magic. 3 such weapons were recently stolen, and we suspect the cultists may have arranged to ferret them away and hide them as a precaution to rob us of those resources. Now, some nonsense was given a riddle to bait us and make us think that it was not related to the cult, but we suspect they are involved, and certainly having the weapons available to us would be beneficial should a battle ensue. Beyond that, there are some other troubles about. The cultists have moved from gathering treasures to kidnappings. We've seen an increase in the number of disappearances, and we suspect the cult is involved. But you look somewhat preoccupied. Is there something else on your mind, something we don't know about yet?
Ooh.
Telaise kind of looks at Valandra like, should we tell them, without saying it out loud?
Yeah, no, she'll just tell them. They have my mother.
Oh, I am terribly sorry. Though I'm sorry. And he looks he's a good-natured fellow, and his face just has that I am about to say something super uncomfortable.
I thought you were orphans. Yeah.
Aren't you an orphan?
No, we're not.
I apologize. Some of my information seems to have been Incorrect. The Warren of Unwanted Burdens? Didn't you all hail from there?
Just because a person's raised in a place doesn't really mean anything.
Well, well said. Yes, of course, of course. Well, if what resources can we put at your disposal to assist you? Was she taken by one of the cultists? And
She's with a Thavian.
One of the Red Wizards. That's unfortunate.
And they've allied themselves with a rather nasty creature. And she looks visibly pissed about this still. An ogre mage. We've had several run-ins with her before, and I owe her a great debt of pain.
That is unfortunate. Well. Would your mother be the human or the genie half of you?
Telaise just kind of looks around. Does anyone have a shovel so he can do this faster?
I'm sorry, but there's only, this is perhaps of the uncomfortable conversations I was expecting to have arriving here. This was very much not on my list.
Oh, I'd love to see that list.
Well, I'm a bard. I tend to scribe everything. It's never mind.
Oh, I bet.
She'll just say my father was human.
I am a large, semi-muscular man.
Excellent. So
I can take it.
He had one of the Red Wizards has a djinn?
Yes.
And you appear to be of the water. That is not good at all. Did you know your mother much? Was she able to grant wishes? And he looks decidedly nervous.
Do I know that?
I don't know. Do you know that?
It's your background.
It is indeed your background.
You get to pick.
Now, djinn that can grant wishes would be fairly high in the noble order. Water djinn are already considered to be the most noble of the djinn, and also a little bit on the stuck-up side sometimes. The ability to grant wishes would mean she would be royalty even among the djinn.
Go for it.
How does granting wishes work for djinn?
Sure. Djinn can grant up to so you may not know this in detail on the in character side. Djinn can grant wishes, usually up to 3 of them, to a single person in the djinn's lifetime. They can grant those same wishes to other people again and again and again. Granting a wish takes its toll on a djinn. It basically exhausts them, and they are very sparing with that ability. What exactly it costs them, they do not share.
But can they be forced to grant the wishes, or does it have to be of their own accord?
They can be forced, but if they are forced, they tend to twist them. And that's where, if you get a djinn who grants you a wish, you'll tend to get what you want. If you force a wish out of a djinn, you better word it really carefully. They're effectively casting the wish spell for you. They can't cast it for themselves.
Yeah. So, if they grant you a wish, it's a good effect. If you force them to grant you a wish, it's like you overreaching with wish, and the DM probably decides to punish you.
Could get that way.
If you want a little
I mean,
extra 2 cents on there, he did kind of phrase what we heard in the castle, what we got to overhear. You very well you could very easily say yes to this situation, and it would be totally okay.
Oh yeah, no, there's no harm, no foul. If you wish to be from the higher ranks of the Jin, the only real impact there would be a royal.
Mom's in a lot of trouble.
Yep. She becomes more valuable to the Red Wizard.
Yeah. I think I think it would be more fun, but I think Valandra doesn't necessarily know.
Okay. So let's make the OOC decision, and then let's make the IC decision. OOC, out of character.
Okay.
Can
yeah.
she do it?
Out of character, yeah, that sounds fun.
Okay. Out of character, your mother is among the royal lineages. In character, you may not know that. You just know that when she wants to be big, she's big. When she wants to be human looking, she's human looking, and she smells nice.
Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you answer, Leosin?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Can she grant wishes?
She'll just say, I don't know. The last time I saw her, I was 4.
Well, that's certainly something worrying. I would want to remove that resource from them. Of course, we wouldn't want your mother to come to any harm, but you do understand that the Red Wizard's having the potential of a Jin that can grant wishes. Could you would want to rescue her, of course? Yes.
That would be the plan. The current active plan is that we're going to go rescue her. Yes.
Okay. Do you have any idea where they may have taken her? Did you have any leads?
Shit, I forget.
Telaise reaches into her pack and pulls out the letter.
And he takes a look at the letter. Okay. Well, I suppose it's good news that the relationship between this ogre mage and the Red Wizard is recent. Who is this other apprentice that's mentioned, the one that turned against him?
Wait, the one that turned against him?
Oh, sorry, that's not in the letter. That was me, dumb. Sorry. Nope, that was conversation, not letter. I typed up 2 things. Forgot. Sorry, the apprentice that turned... So, you guys know. Brain catching up. He did reference an apprentice having turned against him. That apprentice, it seemed to have was your mother. The Jin that he now has imprisoned due to a breach of contract. But the letter didn't have that, just said, hey, I would like to be your apprentice. I'm expensive, but worth it. Signed, the Oni, and send up some blue smoke. So...
And has a rubbing of Telaise's locket on there as a sign of, hey, this is important, and she's really confused by this.
It does. Now, speaking of that rubbing, that's still on that piece of paper, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right. Now, as
Telaise wants to pay her back.
Now, as Leosin looks down and he sees that rubbing, why do you have a symbol of the Sand People?
I'm sorry, what?
The Sands. This right here, and he shows one of the curves outlining the area where Valandra's mother was represented around the Thane Wizard. And as he calls your attention to several of the lines, you can see that within it, a particular streaking of lines. This right here, it bears a remarkable resemblance to the images found in the desert of, well, no sense beating around the bush now. It's referred to as the Desert of Desolation. This particularly looks to be similar to the Oasis of the White Palm, a area a good deal to the east of here. And the way he's speaking, it would be far beyond the Grey Peak Mountains, out into the wastelands.
So off the map that we have?
Off the map.
Okay.
Telaise is just trying to take all this information in, and she's, I don't know. It's a rubbing of something that the Oni stole from me.
Valandra will take out her own locket and show it to Leosin.
Well, this is a bit different, isn't it? And as he starts to look it over, but I do see, and he points out that same bit of etching in yours as well. There, a little different, I believe, and I'm not sure what the rest of this is supposed to be. And you look it over, and it's countless little lines, and without some sort of guide to call your eyes to any one of the images within it, it's just a mishmash. But here, yes, I believe another reference to the Oasis. I can point you in that direction if you wish. It would be a bit beyond where I would hope you would travel, but if you were quick, you would certainly make it there and back to Waterdeep in time for the gathering. I expect it will be close to a year before we can assemble the forces for a full meeting.
This is kind of a big deal. Hang on a second.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, oh no, this is such a big deal. It's a big deal, and like all of our teammates are gonna be here to talk to about this.
Yeah.
And this is, you can 100% say, hey, we're gonna have to talk this over, because at this point Waverly's off with another set of folks. Kuhloe and Johie have been pulled away in different directions. Dusk and Kitty are pulled off in different Dusk and Kitty. Dusk and Dawn are pulled off. Sorry. They're all pulled off in different directions. They tend to be gathering with the people that you can already see a little bit of oh, hey, these folks look like they kind of belong talking to them. The ones that have pulled Johie and gonna do it backwards. Braynard aside are of a slightly shadier nature, whereas Kuhloe seems to be talking with Unthar and some of the others of the rider and chivalry type. Waverly, I'm not sure what Waverly's up to. I'm going to have to ask. I think probably trying to fence some of the loot already. Hey, you got a nice sword there, Treja.
Treja.
So we'll find out what they might be up to, but at the moment, you basically have Leosin to yourself, with others about and available for discussion.
Without immediately answering the question, Valandra will ask him what he knows about Ginny contracts.
Well, like any other contract, it depends on the parties involved. But from what I understand, the Jin hierarchy, their gods, as it were, dictate a certain amount of fair play within their contracts. And in violation of those, the punishments get rather severe. I feel it's likely some manner of the way they separate themselves from devils or demons. I mean, they're all non-human.
Yeah, Telaise is just like tilting her head like, you want to finish it? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
Has someone found her a shovel to hand him yet?
they're all starkly different from us. They're made of a different essence. Jin can be discorporated and pull themselves back together, whereas you or I or any other mortal would be long dead.
And Telaise just interrupts and turns on. I told you, she's alive. She's just absolutely late.
But the contracts tend to be rather detailed in nature. The Jin, at least the powerful ones, consider themselves equal to or better than kings and queens of the mortal world. So entering into a contract with them is not something that would be done lightly. They would, of course, require something in payment, and then they would make their services as necessary. The stories are a bit hit and miss. You know, find a ring, get 3 wishes. That seems unrealistic. But the Jindu have that ability and could, I suppose, be bound to a ring. I don't know if that was that helpful for you, though. What was it?
She takes a deep, somewhat shaky breath and just says, oh God. No, she'll just say, anything I can find out about this is helpful.
Well, the good news and the bad news of it is you're likely to be headed in the right direction if you do head to the Oasis of the White Palm. There, the culture is very heavily influenced by the Jinn, the Rakasa, and other spirit creatures. It's somewhat a matter of national pride, I guess. Now, Athayan, they normally deal with creatures of a darker sort. But given the opportunity, I'm certain one would take advantage of such a contract if they could find something the Jinn found valuable enough. Have you any idea what that might have been? Do you remember anything? Was she working for him when you were young?
I think what was valuable to my mother might have been me.
Well, of course you are. Yes, I mean you're
God damn
her
it.
daughter. But I mean you're here. I don't know if that would be. Well, I of course. I mean, certainly
There
possible.
seemed to be some sort of threat that she was trying to avert towards me.
Well, I would be a bit surprised if someone would turn to a Thayan to avoid a threat to a young child, but it is possible, I assume. But, well, at least I have offered some direction to you. You could travel east, and our organization would do everything possible to assist you along the way. You have done us a great service already. Is there anything more we can do? And perhaps if this matter does resolve quickly, you could still take a look into that difficulty that we have with the weapons if other adventurers have not managed to do so in the meanwhile.
I think that's a good idea. We'll have to talk with our companions and see what they're going to be doing. But let's put a pin in you giving us directions.
All right. So, so let's drop a little out of character for a moment. Basically, one of the concepts that I was thinking up would be a visit to the lands, the desert lands, where some pyramid-inspired adventures could await. And they do happen to involve Jin, and the storyline would fit in very nicely. So that could be one possibility that we pursue. Now, as Leozen sort of doesn't quite apologize, but makes you know he felt bad about having to go through that conversation with you, sort of steps out of the way. Onthar, one of the adventurers that you met back when you were being hired, steps forward. Telaise, how are you? My men have not stopped talking about you, and I am tired of it. When will you visit us again?
I've got some work to do still, but I've got the present you sent down.
Excellent, excellent.
And she'll take the coin out because she did keep a hold of it and just kind of like flick it in the air and catch it.
As I said, you're welcome back anytime. If not for your delightful company, at least to shut up my men for a moment as they're just bawling about themselves, pining for you. And he's obviously half joking, but half serious. Now, I've heard you've had quite the adventure. And you, little Valandra, what happened to the two of you? How did you come to all this?
That is a very long story.
Well,
and
as I mentioned, we have a tavern that you can visit. Tell us about it.
Well, we've got to finish up what we're doing around here, and we may not be heading back south for quite some time.
Well, it will disappoint the men, but absence makes the heart grow. I'm not sure what. But now, Leozen obviously was doing whatever he does. I'd like to talk to the two of you. Now, the Order of the Gauntlet is always looking for those who know how to strike out at evil, and you too, have struck quite the blow against evil.
Just pause for a moment. Do I recall right that this is the guy who kind of invited us to join and then found out we were orphans and then went,
Yeah, this is the guy.
This was the guy. This was the guy.
Okay.
So, and it wasn't so much
making sure.
It wasn't so much the orphan part as the
Shar.
Warren of Unwanted Burden Shar part. That he was like, oh, Leozen, you could probably take these two. So, it seems he's come around over the last few months. And
slaying a dragon and finding a bunch of treasure will do that.
I mean...
But come around a little too late, because Valandra's already joined the Harpers, so...
That is a thing. That is a thing. So, Now, I know your interests may stray from time to time to a little less straightforward manner of thinking, but can I woo you, Telaise, and the two of you away from Leosin?
Well, I'm very hard to woo. You can just ask Leosin that. I have not joined any faction.
Telaise, you say that, but my men have been wooing about you for months now.
Oh, that would be my wooing, not theirs.
I need more beers to keep up with you, my dear. But, so, what do you say? It's going to be a bit unpleasantly political come the meeting in Waterdeep, and having you more staunchly supporting my side would look good. The Order of the Gauntlet, we do a great deal for the area, but not all rally to our banner.
Well, I can only speak for myself, Leosin, but I prefer to stay unaffiliated.
Antar.
I'm sorry, Anthar.
No, sorry.
I prefer to stay unaffiliated. Go where the
That's-
wind takes me, you know?
That is a shame my men will cry over, but I do hope you'll at least allow the breeze to blow you back through our door on occasion.
Oh, you can count on it. Keep the fires warm for me.
I don't know how to make fires cold. Sorry. But Valandra, how have you?
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how she'd be responding to him in this situation
Sure, take your time.
after this conversation about her mother.
While Thomas thinks that over, I just hope that we're on the same page. When he walked over and said Telais's name, he absolutely picked her up in a bear hug, right?
Yeah, there was
absolutely happened.
This is not a man of casual greeting.
Good, because like in my head, he's like she's just off the ground in this huge bear.
Yeah, and it was probably like got Telaise in the bear hug first, got the other arm free, got Valandra in the scoop, pulled you both in. Now he's of course wearing armor, so he's just kind of crushing you against armor. It's like, so good to see you, and you're shaking up and down.
Yes, excellent.
So that's the kind of Anthar I feel.
That is
he's basically a bear crammed into armor and given a shield. It's kind of how I see Anthar.
Nice.
A little oblivious to mood, though. He doesn't quite pick up on Valandra being a little, not sullen, but perhaps deep in thought. He's just like, I'll shake the goodness into her. People work like glow sticks. You shake them and they get brighter.
Oh no.
I think she'll just say, I'll have to think it over. Just kind of very short, not really engaging with the conversation right now.
I understand. Events of this immensity can take a while to settle in, but you're also quite welcome. We still remember your drinking games, and there are some odd stories about your adventures in the area of Waterdeep that I would like to know how they came about myself. So, we certainly hope we can look forward to you now. Is there anything that we can do? The Order, of course, thanks you for your services, and I understand Leosin took care of the monetary, whatever he does. But anything else?
Actually, there's a very good possibility that Valandra and I will be heading east towards the Oasis of the White Palm, and it's very possible that we will be going alone. If anyone of your ranks would like to join us on a little adventure, send them our way.
Ah. How far east are you heading?
The Oasis of the White Palm?
She did say that, yeah.
That is, I suppose, quite far. Maps are not my strong suit, but...
Oleosin has us covered in maps.
He does.
Mhm.
I've often stumbled in to find himself covered in maps and ink. I think he has something wrong with him, but he's a good enough type. And don't let him punch you. It's not fun. I will see if any of my men would like to join you. That does sound like a bit of an adventure, and if it's to the benefit and to fight the cult, that would, of course, be worthwhile, yes.
What I can tell you is it certainly does tie in.
Excellent.
And tell anyone who might be considering that I would consider it a personal favor.
I do need to keep a few of my men in the keep. So
now you're just trying to flatter me.
I am. But it doesn't seem to be working. Thankfully, I found a woman who my flattery does work on, and then she hit me with a stick. But that's a different story. So, let's see. Well, I think that may do it for our conversation for now. I look forward to seeing you in Waterdeep if you do not get a chance to visit us sooner. I understand they're looking at almost a year before they can put the appropriate people in motion. Oh, that does make sense. It's nearing summer harvests, then winter. Who wants to march in winter? And then back round to spring again. So likely we'll get to spring in Waterdeep. Just when it smells the best. It doesn't.
Yeah, I know. Smells the best.
Yes. That is the best time to visit. So, Onthar bids you goodbye, big old hugs, and then heads away. His men look on him jealously as he's hugging the two of you, but they're much smaller than he is, most of them. So, that frees you up from Onthar and Leosin. Others do make their way in and out and pay their respects. It seems that the seven of you have taken on a bit of notoriety, perhaps even a bit of acclaim. You did make your way pretty much all the way up the Sword Coast and weren't super quiet about it along the way.
I'm trying to remember what we did in Waterdeep that Onthar would be talking about.
Oh, that would be where you killed a dude.
Oh.
That's right, that's where you killed a dude. On accident. It was an accident.
I feel like... Oh, wait, no, hang on. That might have been Baldur's Gate. That might have been Baldur's Gate.
Oh, okay. He was only dead for 5 seconds, okay?
I'll check the tapes on that one. He might have gotten the information wrong. There might have been something else that he's heard about you doing in Waterdeep. But the one I was thinking of particularly was where you killed a dude. And then immediately resurrected him, just like, here's how I do threats. You're dead, you're alive again. Learn your lesson, move along. Not a lot of people do that, just so you know. Like,
and then they probably talked.
Who actually kill you and resurrect you to teach you a lesson, there's like 3, and they're all really crazy. So we have that going for us. But
so you're saying Valandra's in good company?
I mean, 2 and 3 people are crazy. If 2 of your friends are sane, they're probably not. So let's see here. Some things are happening over here. Excuse me, I got to catch up on Twitch chat for a moment. Da, 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 da. Ooh. So, we'll get that one. Leosin, despite my slip of the tongue, only occasionally passes himself off as a bard. He is actually a monk. There are bards about, and some of them would be willing to go ahead and trail along after the orphans in hopes of earning a bit of notoriety themselves, and some of them might occasionally some songs. So we'll get that one in there. But let's see here. So, lots of treasure available to you. We've got some missions out and about that you guys could pursue if you wish. Mirabar is a short distance away, and beyond that, many trade centers. The factions have all made themselves known and aware. Everyone from the Lord's Alliance, the Order of the Gauntlet, the Emerald Grove of the, Emerald Alliance, just lost it, the Druid folks, and even some of the Zentarim. You've noticed some of the merchants have that look about them where money is probably more important to them than just about anything else.
What's the Druid one you said? The Emerald?
That is the Emerald Enclave.
What do we know about them?
Sure, the Emerald Enclave, very interested in maintaining the balance of nature and supporting healthy settlement throughout. They speak for the trees. They're basically the Lorax. And you can see that they have made their way up. They're looking over the devastation caused by the crash of the castle. And they're the ones that are more like, all right, we just need to make sure that this streamway is cleared. Otherwise, come the thaw and the flow, we're going to see some mudslides, and we don't want that. So they're kind of taking care of the lay of the land. And the folks from Mirabar reference them for, okay, if we're going to build mines, we want to make sure we're not poisoning our own water, we're not killing off our game, that sort of things. So there are a few of them about. Druids, rangers tend to be their core makeup. And they do know the wildlands very well. And if you're interested, some of their members are fairly obvious. They're the twigs in the hair type. Others are a little more subtle, but you could spot one or two if you wanted to engage in conversation.
Just out of curiosity, with the different factions here, I'm guessing you can probably only be a part of one, or is it possible to?
So you can have membership cards to every one of them if you want to, but they're only really going to believe you're truly aligned with one of them. So that's where we start getting into spies within spies within spies. So if you were to say, hey, I am both a member of the Lord's Alliance and a member of the Order of the Gauntlet, they'd probably look at you and go, okay, so if we were to fight, which side would you be on? Because we fight sometimes. And you're like, well, why would you guys fight? You're both the good guys. And you say, yeah, but we're better than them. And they both say it at exactly the same time.
They're the gooder guys.
We're the gooderest guys. Yeah, well, we're noble. Yeah, but we do noble things. Yeah, but we did noble things, and that's why we're noble now. Yeah, but we're still doing noble things, whereas you're just being a dummy dumbhead. And then the fighting starts, beer bottles get thrown, beer bottles get invented just so they can be thrown. Somebody's like, if I put a rag in this beer bottle and put really good stuff in it, I've got this thing that I'm going to call a Molotov. And they're like, why are you calling it a Molotov? I'm like, I don't know. And then it's thrown. So, all that happens just because they tried to figure out who was the gooderest. So
I'll be right back, guys. Hang on.
Sure.
Don't say anything super funny while I'm gone.
I have never said anything super funny in my life.
Okay, if she's going for just a minute, I will also be right back.
Sure. Let's take our 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I will wander over to the Twitch chat here. So, Valandra the Philanderer. 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 Oh. A horrible mistake. Because somebody once said, "Where's she from?" And they said, "I think she's a Phandelverer." And they're like, "Oh, one of those." Spider!
I return.
Hello! Thomas has run to grab a drink refill as well, so he will be back momentarily.
So when it's just two people, I mean, not a lot of intense things happen.
I mean, I guess if you don't consider that intense.
We've had some fun conversations.
There we go. Nah, you guys will be fine. And basically what I'm looking to do here is build up a couple of options as we go through the next set and see whereabouts we can slot people in for, probably 3 session adventure sequences. Cool. And the ones that I've been thinking of to kind of save myself on map drawing is I really like the Pharaoh and Oasis of the White Palm, which were old Advanced Dungeons and Dragons editions series, and they happen to feature Jin, so that was one that I was thinking about. White Plume Mountain, because it's got magic weapons and are really badass, and because that's fun. And then I'm like, or I could throw them into Ravenloft, and that's probably not a great idea.
I don't think we want to go there.
Probably not.
I don't think I want to go there. I think I would like to survive to finish this campaign.
I mean, there's all that. The other one, that depending on how you guys want to do, the Thayans have a couple of adventures in amongst themselves. We wouldn't be sending you into the Doom Vault, but the Thayans do have a few things to do. Interesting stuff.
Fish.
Fish.
I'm eating fish.
Fish are good.
I am back.
Yay, welcome back. Or we could send you to the Barrier Peaks for sci-fi slipped into D&D for reasons unknown. So, we have a lot of treasure. We have some places we could go. You guys do have the ability to talk to many of the factions if you wish to start making inquiries. We can also kind of fast forward a little bit and look at things you might want to spend your time and treasure on other than the pursuit of your mother, Valandra's mother.
Or in preparation for.
Or in preparation for. Absolutely. So we can, at this point, keep talking to folks in the area. We can start talking about Telaise. I think you had mentioned wanting to get yourself some mithril. No, sorry,
that was Valandra.
Valandra with the full plate mithril,
Yep.
which is a pricey item, but available. Telaise, you had said something, and I forget what it was. Other than bag of holding.
I would like to look into, well, if there was an adventure to possibly find Boots of the Cheetah, I would do that. But her priority is to see if she can get her armor enchanted. And maybe see about getting her Hanbo enchanted, because she would not like to give up either of these things.
Fair enough. Now, when it comes to magic items of significant enchantment, there tends to be a bit of bartering done. Now, if you're looking for, let's say, some weapons of a magical nature, I'm sure Leozen could speak to the people he knows, and if you were to retrieve, say, certain magical items that he might know is in a mountain and give them back to their appropriate owners, those owners might be able to scrounge through their collections and come up with some things in line with what you're looking for. Mithril full plate sized for Valandra, maybe not off the shelf, but that could certainly get commissioned. Weapons of a plussing nature, including a Hanbo, that they could probably scrap up. I'm sure some collector somewhere has one.
That's what she's after, really.
Cool.
Of a plussing nature.
Of a plussing nature. So I would say yes, we could probably turn up such a thing for you with a little bit of effort. The collectors and hoarders of all things magical that managed to lose the 3 magical weapons could probably lay their hands on a Hanbo and have that available to you should you successfully return the weapons. Or we could do something else. There's lots of opportunities.
I believe at this point the priority for Valandra and Telaise is not, let's go gather some magical items and then go rescue. The priority is, it's rescue time.
Okay. So if it is rescue time, then the eventual goal...
I mean, depending, because how long of a journey would it be? Do we have any idea to the oasis?
So by horseback, on an estimate, you would probably spend a good 2 to 3 months traveling, because you would be going from Mirabar, where you are now, all the way back down to Waterdeep / Daggerford, making your way east from there, probably up to Loudwater, and then down through and into Parnast, onto the Black Road, and out into the Wastes. Now, you could make a couple of shortcuts, but they might be more dangerous. If you have other methods of travel, those could speed things up considerably. Now, things like teleportation and utilization of teleportation circles certainly available, but generally you have to be in really good with folk to get access to that, because teleportation is 1, expensive, and 2, letting people know where your circles are and letting people see them is pretty dangerous. Because once you know about one and once you've seen it, if you have the ability, you can cast your way back there, which a lot of people don't want people to know how to teleport into their strongholds.
Where is White Plume Mountain?
White Plume Mountain is in around the area of Mount Hotnow, which is off towards Neverwinter. So down in this area. So fairly close.
Fairly close by?
Fairly close by.
Like on the way kind of situation?
Yeah, not quite on the way. There's a bit of a detour because, unfortunately, the road goes down towards Longsaddle. It goes over towards Luskin and down towards Neverwinter. And there's a really crappy road that leads down this way. And Mount Hotnow is down and around there. There's a crazy little town called Oakhurst right there. And right about here, there's this strange-ass monastery. Yeah, down and right about there, White Plume Mountain.
But it would only be like a few miles out of the way?
It'd be about 3 days travel off River Marar to get down to White Plume Mountain.
I
So-
mean, with enough time to think about it, and with the fact that it's so close, I think it would be possible that they might, like maybe if they think they can do that, like in a couple days or something, if they might investigate, and if they think they can do it quickly, do that first, maybe while some items are being commissioned. Because like right now she just wants to chase after her mother, but like once she has a little time to consider and knows that it's going to be several months, and she also wants to have the best chance of succeeding in rescuing her mother once they find her.
Sure. So basically, you guys are right now up in the mountains, about a half-day journey from Mirabar up in here. Come down on the road from some of the mines to the actual city itself. In Mirabar, there would be trade available to you. The town is very, very heavily enforced. There is said to be no thievery at all in Mirabar because they do a lot of mining and they employ the thieves to stop other thieves from coming in, basically. From there, Luskin is a bit of a hole at the moment. It's fallen into disrepair, and it is known to house evil humanoids. The Sahagin and other such things dwell in that area. But if you take the break right about here and head down, you get about a 3-day journey to reach Oakhurst. And then from Oakhurst, you got about a day to get a little bit into the Neverwinter Wood. And in there is White Plume Mountain. Unfortunately, from there, you've got a really dangerous pass you could make to come back over to the long road, or you would head back up and around. So you're probably looking at a 10 days investment in time to get down there, do a thing, and get back out again.
So we'd be heading back to Waterdeep before heading east, is what you said?
So the great meeting in Waterdeep is not happening till next year, but you could come down and pass through Waterdeep to reach Daggerford, take the riverways up, and then travel to Parnest and over to the Black Road.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't want to do that, you could head over this way or down around this way and start making your way over and then down. But that's a much more dangerous path. It's called the Lurkwood for a reason, and not because the wood is very lurky. Hey, lurky. I mean, Mithril Hall is an amazing place. That's cool. You got dwarves and all kinds of stuff. And I mean, if you want plate made, the word Mithril is in the name. Glimmerwood, very nice in Elven. Silvermoon, very pretty. The Nether Mountains, not so awesome. And then down in here, things can get a little dicey. Loudwater's awesome, though. Get down there, that's cool.
I was thinking if it would be possible to like commission the armor or something, and then do the White Plume Mountain, and then so like take a little time while the armor is being made. I don't know how long the armor would take.
Entirely depends on how much money you're willing to spend. Basically, I'll look again and do my math, but I'm going to say you're probably in the neighborhood of 100 to 200 days to get Mithril done in a reasonable amount of time, full plate, because you'll be basically employing the whole smithy to get it done. that'll be kind of pricey, but it'll get done in 100 to 200 days. If you want it done in like a week, you're employing the whole town.
I don't suppose they'd like have mithril armor in Mithril Hall that I could just buy.
I mean, they probably do. It is called Mithril Hall.
And
Yeah.
if she traded raw mithril, could it lower the price? Because we have quite a bit.
I mean, it could. I mean, dwarves do like me some mithril, so you go ahead and bring around a little bit of mithril. We'll talk. But the folks from Mirabar are a little bit competitive with the folks from Mithril Hall. You may not know that, but you can pick it up pretty quick when you say, like, hey, do you guys sell mithril? And they're like, ugh. We work in good, solid iron here. Mithril's for sissies.
Okay, well, we'll take our gold elsewhere. Thank you.
Sissy.
She's a bard. This does not bother her. This is not... I killed a dragon. I don't care.
What are you gonna do? Dance in it? Like, yes.
Actually, that would be the point.
I don't know what to do with this one. So, what else would you guys like to line up for accomplishments here? So, we've got some armor. You could swing over, take a look in Mithril Hall. We've got White Plume Mountain, which is down here by the crags. So you could, head down to the Long Saddle, kind of bump across the hills, swing your way up to Mithril Hall, commission the armor, swing back down. You could risk the passage here as the shortcut, and deal with White Plume Mountain, and then back and over again. You can't really commission an armorer long distance. They kind of need you to do the initial fittings.
Well, yeah. First, I would be looking at trying to just buy outright.
Sure.
So without the time, like she's not going to wait 100 to 200 days to go after her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Fair.
10 or 20, I could see. So like, yeah, buying the armor or maybe doing White Plume Mountain would be doable.
So let's take a real quick look here because it's not on this machine. Hang on a moment.
Mm-hmm. What does Telaise think of maybe doing White Plume Mountain first and getting some magic items that might help on the journey?
Honestly, she's going to defer to Valandra's sense of immediacy, because this is about... there's questions that she has about in this situation, because she's really confused what she has to do with any of this.
Yeah.
Because there are very subtle hints that there's something she's involved in some way. But it's not pressing for her at this point. She's just, I have questions. This is about rescuing Valandra's mother, and if Valandra wants to take the time to go do some item questing because she thinks it's valuable, she will go with it. She will just be like, we just have to manage our time because we can't... She'll be the first one to go, we can't spend 200 days waiting for armor to show up.
No, yeah, like when the figure is, if they're talking about it and the figure is mentioned, she doesn't even consider 100 or 200 days, not even close.
No.
But yeah, like the 10 days to do White Plume Mountain, and in exchange for that, magic weapons and stuff, that seems like a reasonable trade.
And Mithril Hall very well might have armor in her size just to
Yeah,
buy, because they're dwarves and they deal with elves, so short people are pretty common for them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, dwarves are kind of short and a little bit on the broader side.
But they also trade with like silvery moon.
Halflings, but Valandra's gonna grow, so they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to make this like accordion style.
Well, do magic items automatically resize to fit? Because if they have +1 mithril, I would love that.
Magic items do. Straight up mithril does not. So if we're looking at a suit of +1
mithril plate, yeah, that that would be ideal, but
that would be very nice. But unfortunately, that's going to be quite the expensive proposition. Now, Mithril Hall would be the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure certain things could be found. In fact, should you deliver to the King of Mithril Hall one of the weapons, specifically Whelm, Great Hammer, he would reward you with a suit of mithril plate, enchanted, the first tier, a worthy recognition of the service done to the dwarven clans. Now, here's maybe a little bit of a curve for you. They're not the owners of that hammer. So, you would be potentially delivering 2 back to the paperwork owners of the hammer, and 1 to the King of Mithril Hall, who just wants it very, very much. So if you're willing to consider that, they are certainly willing to talk about having a set of plate ready for you.
I mean, would they also just be willing to sell the enchanted plate?
I don't know that you have the money for that.
Are we using the sane magical prices?
Let me see what the sane magical prices document does for that one, because full plate's already 10,000, making it mithril.
No. Full plate is 1,500.
Wait, what am I doing? What did I just do?
I was gonna say.
No. I'm sorry. What did I just do? Give me a second.
Full plate is 1,500. Magic armor is 1,500. Mithril is like 800 or something.
What did I just look at? Hang on.
Plus, we can provide the mithril.
Yeah.
You can. Did I just completely miscount my numbers?
So that would be like 3,000 with
that would be like
providing the mithril.
Oh. That is not the right plate. That is a plate of doing special stuff. Excuse me.
I was gonna say, that's awfully expensive.
That is a very different plate armor.
Yeah, like I'm looking for something specific, but not that specific. Like...
Yeah, that plate does some really nice things.
I just want you to know that if it came down to a situation like that, Telaise is a forger. She would happily just be like, yeah, sure, this is the real hammer.
Oh, yeah. They might be able to notice that.
Not the dwarves. Not the dwarves. She would give the real one to the dwarves.
I see how we're going here. Hang on one second. Why am I seeing...
She's not dumb. What are you doing?
No, we're good. Hang on. What did I just see here? While wearing this... that's a +2. Okay. We're gonna say, yeah, for probably 4,000 of the golds, we could talk. though it would take a little bit of talking, and to get them to turn over one of their super cool sets of mithril armor, they might need a favor or two along with that 4,000 of the golds. But we could talk.
Okay.
They are over here. Now, representatives of the Mithril Hall are gathering because a giant snowball hit, and of course, if Mirabar had happened to have been destroyed, they would have to be ready to ramp up production. Thankfully, Mirabar wasn't destroyed. Nice aim, losers. But
We weren't driving it.
I mean, you could have just
Just
10
what?
seconds earlier, and we would have just. It's fine. It's fine. I'm sure.
Really? We
It's
killed a
fine.
dragon in under 20 seconds. What do you want?
10 was what I wanted. Obviously.
Also, killing the dragon wasn't the cause for the crash, so I don't know what
See?
they're.
Exactly.
We didn't have any control over that.
At all?
Could have.
We would have liked to avoided crashing altogether.
Yeah, the people of Mirabar are very much enthusiastic about. Yes, thank you for not landing on our town.
See, aren't you?
representatives-
10 seconds a little late.
See that? But yes, as you do start asking around about Mithril, one of the representatives of Mithril Hall kind of pulls you aside. Look, the folks in Mirabar don't know a thing about Mithril, but you swing on by and we'll take care of you. It'll be a little expensive. Make sure you've got a full pocket when you come. And when you mention that you'd like it to be enchanted, they're like, oh, you're going to want to bring a pack horse for that. But, that's your business. If you have the cold for it, looks like you might have done well by yourselves. He kind of glances past where, it's obviously mostly silver and copper left. So, Mithril Hall, we'll treat you right. Probably in that 4,000 nature is where you kind of talk around abouts. And depending how you present yourselves, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, and they may need a little encouragement. But, oh yeah, we've got some fine armor.
All right.
Now, as far as a Hanbo goes, they're a little less common. Still available, but we're going to have to do a little bit of looking for something like that. We could dress up yours, of course.
I am a bit attached to it.
Well,
how much time?
A few weeks at most. Reinforce it, run some shotting on either end, maybe do something spiral work down the middle, nice hand grip. How do you feel about spikes?
No. She just kind of just looks at this, gestures to all of herself, and she's like, I don't think spikes really fit.
I mean, we could fit some cones on there, do sort of a Madonna look for you.
Who's Madonna?
I don't
You
know.
just gestured to all of me.
Thank you.
So,
Are we still talking to the Mithril Hall guys that are talking about?
Yeah, one of the representatives from Mithril Halls kind of called you over, like, yeah, we can do some Mithril. Yeah, all right, no spikes. I mean, that was just blades, maybe. Just get a nice.
Valandra
blade.
is also interested in a +1 mace and a +1 shield. I don't know if that's doable either for Mithril Hall or just from Mirabar and places, but
I mean, the difficulty is people start looking a little sideways when we over-equip adventurers. Now, you've got a good reputation at the moment, so likely it wouldn't give you much trouble from the king, but, keep your nose clean on your way over there. And the more you can do for the folk of Mithril Hall, the easier it'll be to convince the king that we're not arming potential enemies. How do you feel about dwarven folk, by the way?
Do I know any dwarven folk? Were there any dwarven folk in
Well, there
Greenest?
does happen to be a dwarven folk, the Castellan of Greenest. The fellow who ran the castle and was one of your supporters, I guess you could say.
Telaise answers, generally with my hands, but we can make other arrangements.
If my wife wasn't here, I wouldn't be able to walk in 2 years. Not quite what I was thinking, but good luck with that. You're a bit young and hairless for me.
When he asks what she thinks of dwarven folk, she'll respond like very innocently, but just like, yeah, I like what's his name, and just
Escobar the Red.
Escobar.
Yeah, Escobar. Yeah,
Escobar the Red.
I forgot he was a dwarf.
Did you say the Red Clan? Didn't know there were any of those left. Good lineage. Shame what happened to them. Well, I mean, if Escobar is willing to vouch for you, that certainly helps. Make sure you mention that to those that you speak of at the hall. Now, I will caution you. Taking a dwarf's name in vain is a killable offense. So, should word come round that Escobar doesn't know you, that would be a dangerous moment for all involved.
Oh, he knows us. We scared off a blue dragon for him.
Blue? I thought they said it was white.
No, that would be the one we killed just here.
We killed a white dragon. We scared off a blue dragon in Greenest.
Oh ho. 2.
2.
Impressive. Likely then the king won't see much trouble with equipping you all, as you've already... 2?
2.
My, that is 2 dragons.
2.
Big fellows, look like lizards but wings, tails.
1 blue, 1 white. And she holds up. She counts them off. She holds up her fingers. 1 and 2. 1 blue, 1 white. We've got some scales in some of the packs if you'd want to see them.
Well, I am not of the smithing caste myself, but I will say that's something to see. A well done suit of dragon scale armor is a pretty thing, but no, I can't let myself get distracted. 2.
Telaise is just like 1, 2.
I mean, you're 3 short of the whole shebang there, but
we're working on it. No,
come on, pick up the pace. You're never gonna hit the trifecta at this speed. Representative of Mithril Hall gives you some names to inquire with, some places to stay should you make your way over there, and some things to avoid. You kind of want to go south and then back up again. Tribor is actually the best way to go about it. Just straight down to Tribor, over to Yartar, take the river up. If you do cut across the hills, be a bit mindful. There are an unfortunate number of goblins in the area. They get a bit uppity.
Valandra will say, I think if we do decide to cross those hills, the goblins will find there's an unfortunate number of us in the area.
And we're very uppity.
I suppose that's fair. So,
As we stand surrounded by a giant crashed castle with bits of dragon strewn around.
and you did leave a path of dragon bits and coffins and other things, basically up the long road. So, yes, the many adventures of the Seven are well documented by people like, what the heck happened? They're like, oh, didn't you know the reason there's a dragon paw in your castle is because of the Seven? What's of the Seven? Sit down, let me tell you about this.
Did you see what happened to that orc who was trying to raid that town? Out of nowhere, they just knew, and they just threw a huge stone coffin on him from the sky.
While fighting a dragon, yeah, it's crazy.
Are you sure about that story? Yeah, 100%. Really, that just seems implausible at best. No, definitely happened. Coffin right out of the sky. Why did they have a coffin in the sky? A vampire. During the day? Yes, a vampire. During the day, crashed the castle. I thought you said they crashed the... No, you see, it was a giant that was driving the castle, and then he got distracted by a vampire after having breakfast in bed. What? Hold on. They made him breakfast in bed? I never get breakfast in bed. Well, it's not your birthday. Was it his birthday? No. He was just sitting there getting his hair done.
How do you know that?
His hair done. Where do you hear these things? I met this little mouse and it wouldn't stop talking. A mouse. A talking mouse. Yes. Most blinged out creature I've ever seen. More diamonds per square inch of body surface than anything I've ever seen. A diamond-plated mouse, you say? Okay.
The story just gets better as it keeps going.
I mean, the Sword Coast is full of chatty people.
The story just gets better the closer to the truth it is.
I know.
I mean, some things are bound to happen. Among those things, some rumors get a little stray and come back again, but we'll figure out about it. So I do know you guys are interested in some weaponry, some enchantment happening. Mithril Hall seems to be the reasonable target for such things, so we will put together a visit for Mithril Hall, and we'll find out who can join us for that. We've got the rescue of Valandra's mother, who seems to have something to do with the oasis of the White Palm far to the east in the desert and wasteland. We've got some magical weapons that could be retrieved from White Plume Mountain, one of which, the Hammer Whelm, which we'll get into in a little more detail later when everybody else is here, could be traded to the King of Mithril Hall for fantastic prizes, or returned to the rightful owners for pretty good prizes. The Hanbo could certainly be arranged from the weapons collectors and magical hoarders as rewards for returning the other magical weapons that have been stolen. And we could probably work out, kind of a trade mace for things. Maybe not with Mithril Hall if you're not going to give them the hammer, but certainly with other folk. And I think that covers most of the plans that I wanted to hit up with you folk. Aside from, we've also got the gathering of the powers that be in Waterdeep in spring, about a year from now. You're a little closer to summer now, so it's kind of 3/4 of a year, but that gives you some time. Any other things or places that are of interest to you that we might be able to hit either along the way or as something to do afterwards? Or should we kind of wrap it at that point and see what other folks might have ideas on themselves.
Can I buy expensive spell components in Mirabar?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys have plenty of money, and assuming you're not about to pour out all the jewels and be like, I always had these. You're kind of paying with the small bills.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yes, Mirabar is a trade city. They're a little heavy on the metalwork, so you probably aren't going to find like fine wooden cabinets there. But you could do that other places.
Well, she doesn't need a wooden cabinet anyway. Where would she put it?
You could put a fine wooden cabinet in a fine wooden wagon. You guys could buy things. Travel can be comfortable. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable.
But why do we need a cabinet?
You need to put things in it.
That's what we have the bag of holding for.
I just thought up a really bad pun, so I'm just going to try and stop myself. Not sure I'm going to be able to manage it.
Well, see, now I want to hear it because I've just been doing nothing but bad puns.
All right. Okay. So, you guys need a cabinet. Okay. Because Valandra doesn't have a chest. Oh. No.
A little flat. A little flat.
The joke fell flat? Is that what Are you bored with that one? Oh, I see how it is. Oh, hey, DB Broly. Thank you. Follows are always appreciated. So I think that's where we'll probably wrap up the official stuff and then hop into any unofficial stuff you guys would like to take care of. If you wish to start spending your money on normally available things, they are all available to you in the area. Things including healing potions, holy water, spell components, equipment, etc. Magical items are still a little bit of a challenge to find, so Mithril Hall will be our go-to place to talk to the Mithril market and see if we can dig up just the right kind of stuff.
Valandra will spend about 1,000 gold on spell components, mostly incense and diamond dust, but also a little holy water and a small jeweled horn worth 1,000 gold, 100 gold. So she can cast clairaudience as well as clairvoyance, and 100 gold pieces worth of ruby dust, which she will spend 50 of to cast continual flame on her glass holy symbol of Eldath. At 4th level.
Couldn't you potentially? Don't we have rubies that you could ask Harry to grind up for you?
Do we have rubies?
Sure.
There's all this treasure. I'm sure there's plenty of rubies, and Harry has this thing that grinds up stuff.
Yeah, you can.
Well, that'll
you
work
just,
too then.
Yeah, you could just deduct the ruby amount from the rubies that you have. So that's easy enough. Just cross out that value, and do make a note that your holy symbol is continually flamed and at 4th level, which is a nice strong casting.
Yeah, it was already continually flamed, but now it's 4th level as opposed to 2nd.
Sounds good. So whoosh, burny, burn, burn, burn. Let's see what else we got going on here. Adventure time has happened. We'll find out from everybody else when everybody else will be available to start doing things. If we still have a scarce cast next week, we can start in. There are a couple of little mini adventures that we can visit in some places that might amuse people to revisit along the way to White Plume Mountain or to Mithril Hall, and go from there. Did you guys want to go to the Hall first and then over to White Plume, or White Plume and then the Hall?
That depends. Ash, was Telaise gonna have them enchant her handbow? And they said it would take a couple weeks?
Yeah, she's not keen on being without her weapon for a couple of weeks. If she can just up and buy one, she'll just up and buy one.
Okay.
So in that case, you could visit the hall, see what they have available, which we're going to do a little dice rolling for to see how lucky you are once you're there, and they may have something similar that you could purchase already done. You might purchase a replacement or a loaner while they work on yours, and then you can come back and pick it up later. We'll figure out what the option that works best for you, or you could spend extraordinary sums of money to get it done faster. All potential options for you.
Look, she went for the non-greedy option. She just wants to be able to not die.
Not dying is very important. So we'll see how that all turns out. So what else we got?
And so she specifically asked for possible people to join them, so that if we do end up short on people and we're going on ventures, we can have some guest stars come rolling in. So that way we can find out ahead of time and maybe get some.
Let me know ahead of time, because I have a couple friends who might be interested.
Sure. Yep, that's basically what I'm going to be asking about through the week here. Is it seems like the first adventure place we're going to end up will be White Plume. I don't really have anything planned for Mithril Hall other than stopping in there, so that'll probably be a kind of, we can resolve it over the way. And why? It doesn't sound like you guys want to do the wheeling dealing with the Dwarf King about the hammer, so we can just kind of off-screen that you prefer to pay cash. If you decide you'd like to do more of the wheeling dealing, we can bring that back on screen and figure it out from there. And I'll have to figure out how to do a dwarf voice that isn't just my orc voice without the slur.
One thing.
Yeah.
Can we find anything out from Leosin or the others? Valandra's curious about the masks, because it seems like they're important, but I don't think we know too much about them.
So yes, you can. But no, not from Leosin. Leosin doesn't know, and Onthar doesn't know. While they are very active and moderately ranked within their collective associations, they're not thinkers. Leosin's the brighter of the two, but his investigation technique, as you might recall, was allow myself to get captured and beaten up so I can hear what they're planning.
Oh, that was him, wasn't it?
That was him.
Oh, wow.
So, he maybe one too many punches with the snake. He's a little punch drunk. So he's not the best to check in on that one. Other wiser and more arcane minds can weigh in on that sort of thing. And that would probably require contacts of a more devious and delving nature. So you can definitely continue to investigate on that. More would be shared openly in Waterdeep in a year. Right now, things are a little need to know, because they don't want the cult to know that they know that the cult doesn't know that the cult knows. Or do they?
1 + 2 + 1.
+1.
1, 2.
That was
2
But that would
dragons.
still be 2 + 2 + 1 + 1.
1 + 2 + 1.
I mean, and more. So we'll pick back up with that next week. I do thank you guys very much for joining me and helping me get kind of my plans in line as to what we can do adventure-wise next week. And it will probably be the lead up and starting to delve into White Plume Mountain. Now, you guys are right on the cusp of being the appropriate level, so we will want to make sure we've got at least 4 folks going into it, possibly 5. And that's about the sweet spot that you guys would want to be at.
Do we know how long we expect White Plume Mountain to take in terms of like number of sessions?
3?
3? Okay.
3, maybe 3. Yeah, probably 3.
Okay.
There's not a lot of in-depth conversations in White Plume Mountain. It's
Yeah.
not really a talking adventure. There's like maybe one. But it's the kind of place that makes you question yourself. So it can either go really fast or really slow. But we'll try for the moderate speed through.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know of it, but it is a very fun and kind of zany dungeon setup. Which is
I don't actually know anything about it, which I was excited about.
Yeah, so I will let you know it's a fun and zany kind of place. You will definitely recognize it as being the old-fashioned Dungeons and Dragons style.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why Leosin was like, yeah, they're just trying to pass this off as like a joke, and I'll give you guys the intro to it when everybody's back together. They're just cult's trying to slide one under the radar by making this look not serious, but we know better. Unfortunately, they don't have the resources to send after it, and you guys are right here. I mean, it's like right down the road. You'd scamper on down there. Onthar and I would do it, except Onthar's back is playing up on him. And I was like, I could let them capture me. I look like a magical weapon. And they were like, no, you don't look like a magical weapon. That's a terrible plan. So.
I mean, he's a monk, so he is a magical weapon, right?
That's what I told them. You and me, Valandra.
As long as he's 6th level.
We're like this, and he does the fingers intertwining. So it's a good plan. I'll just stand here and wait for them to come kidnap me.
I'll just stand here. Right.
I will look magical and powerful. Sure.
Well, you have fun with that.
He probably would. Onthar like walks. Come on, Leos. We'll get you some milk. You'll be fine. You'll do some good. He gets like this. Cool.
I'm now just imagining Onthar and Leosin as like a married couple.
I sort of feel that. Like, even though they're from different associations and definitely come at it from different directions, like, I don't know if they were adventuring buddies at some point, or they got into out of scraps together, or it was always just like, they had to stick up for each other in their other situations, because like Onthar would walk in and be like, ah, ha, ha, and people were like, you're loud, and you're rude, and you're dumb, and Leosin would be like, no, he's okay. He's with me. And then like they walk into like a big burly place, and he's like, hi, I'm Leosin. They're like, oh, we're using you as a lawn dart. And Onthar's like, no, he can drink. Watch this. So, a little odd coupley, maybe. So, but yeah, I like those two. Library cards did arrive for you all. So, there's that.
Just tip that hat directly at Athy, I guess.
I'm writing that down.
There you go. Unfortunately,
would a specific library?
oh no, well yes, it's the library. The library cards arrive for you all, so that you now have access to the library at El Terrell. There's one teensy little problem. Apparently, the autocorrect was on, and it says Barnyard. So there's that. Other than that, you do get some fan letters arriving as they do.
Fan
letters. Some thank yous and stuff will show up over time. Most of the fan letters were written by your half-orc friend in El Terrell, Ruby. I think that was her name. And then eventually some letters will catch up to you from Greenest, from the mayor being like, so how's my looking glass? Is that okay?
It's fine.
Still all right?
Yep.
I miss it.
It is A-okay.
Feels cold without it.
That's weird that you would feel cold without a piece of glass, but okay.
The wind whistles through the hollow in my chest where it once lay. I don't know, something like that.
He's a weird guy.
He is a weird guy. You get a note from Webigail.
Oh God, what does it say? Go on, what's it say? We're reading this shit out loud.
Guys, of course you crashed the castle.
She has no idea. She wasn't even.
No, we will figure out what all correspondence is coming back and forth, but you guys have become moderately famous. So there will be some feedback from those you know. Well, everybody except Glumfellow. He doesn't do the correspondence thing.
Do we get any from any of the other orphans?
That's actually one of the questions I have for you guys as we come back together. So for when we pick up, not now, but when we pick back up with the Rise of Tiamat, I will have each of you. So the requirement is going to be, I'll give you guys the homework assignment ahead of time, but you'll have plenty of time later to do it. Each of you must pick and describe one older orphan. And give me why that one would be important to you. Now,
an older one. Okay.
An older orphan. Now, that's going to be a little bit tricky for some of you, but you all did encounter at least one or two older orphans. Valandra, these would be basically 2 classes older than you, as you were right on the cusp. There were a few younger orphans that you did leave behind after saving them, and they are still down in that orphanage, but they're well and truly in the clutches of Glumfellow, so they're not really the writing fan letters to heroes at the moment phase. But I will ask each of you when we come back to pick and give me a personality and sort of a, 1 or 2 sentences about an older one, however many years older you choose, and what they might have been like. And then I'm going to kill them all, and you're going to find their corpses littered across the Sword Coast.
Spoilers?
He pretends that he's joking, but
I could do that.
Spoilers!
There's all sorts of opportunities available.
For him to murder innocent people that we might be attached to in some vein.
Murder? So, I would never just put someone's mother in front of them, frozen in the statue form, and then have a monster burst from her stomach.
Like it's freaking aliens or something.
Oh. That was one set. I should have ended that session like 15 minutes earlier because it would have been a bright and cheery session the whole set. And then you guys are like, "Let's go through the door." I'm like, "Yeah, I've lost track of time. Sure, let's do. Let's bring that track." So, they have tone issues. Do my sessions. But there's still the opportunity for a happy ending, perhaps. And yeah. Curiously, among the stories being spread is the potential nobility of the Seven.
Wow, I didn't even think about it, but I'm amused because apparently Valandra actually is.
That's amazing. I love it.
Not that she knows that.
Not that you know
but
it.
Like,
I mean, it is very possible. And unfortunately, there's sort of a downside politically to that as well. Because it seems like anytime somebody starts rising the ranks of heroism, rumors start sprouting up that, they're probably the bastard child of some noble or other. Seeming like, yeah, you can't be good unless you've got noble blood in you. This just must be some offshoot. And the Lord's Alliance is like, we would never start rumors like that, but that's definitely what happened. Because that's how nobles work. They're buttheads. Bad nobles. Bad, except the ones from Waterdeep. They're the okay ones. So there we go. Cool. I think we will break it on that one. I will wander off and go try and ingratiate myself and pretend that I didn't just ignore my family on Valentine's Day.
Whoops. Hey, you had all day to not do.
We don't do Valentine's Day in any official capacity. I just like to annoy people. So basically, I've been saying Happy Valentine's Day for the last 2 weeks. Just to like, because she's like, yeah, don't worry, it's over commercialized and it's not a thing. And I'm like, all right, so Happy Valentine's Day. And then every time we'd like do anything like Happy Valentine's Day, she's like, stop it, can't help it. I've been commercialized. I am the commercial. Cool. So, if the captain's reboots would be so kind as to kill the stream when they are ready, I think I am goods to go. I will be disconnecting momentarily. And by the way, Twitch chat and stream, sometime over the next week or so, I'll be getting my act together so I can handle some of the streaming duties. So enjoy the well-executed stream while you can. I will be making a complete mess out of it very soon.
Huzzah!
Yeah, there will be just nonsense everywhere. Like spinning globe gifs constantly. Rotating candy canes. Barbershop poles. GeoCities page style.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I made this on Netscape Navigator. Or was it Navigator? Collaborator? Netscape's Creator? It was something. I forget what you used to make things on. Things happened. All right. Thank you all. Have a great night. I will see you next week, if not sooner.
Yep.
You're gonna see me sooner.
Uh-oh. Wait, what am I seeing you sooner?
Sunday.
Oh, no, I'm not in on the Sunday.
Oh my God, you're not?
I am not. I just get to watch. I could not free myself up, and in the meantime, others leapt into the fray.
Well, there you go.
So, there you go. But I will be cheering from the sidelines and dreaming about being a bard. Though I do get to do my goblin bard in a different place, in a different time. 2 weeks from now.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you much. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Where's the disconnect button? I'm lost.